Today I wanted to spend some time discussing the likelihood of a reboot of Digimon Adventure 02, or a continuation sequel to Digimon Adventure 2020, or whatever you want to call it. This is a bit of a new format, less researched and more improvised, but based of course on something pretty big that happened in episode 32 of Digimon Adventure 2020, so if you're sensitive to spoilers, you'll want to leave now as we are going to talk about that episode. So this is a video about why a Digimon Adventure 02 reboot is very likely to be impossible. So one more warning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you're here still, the spoiler gloves are off. Fans are scratching their heads this week after the armored Digimon Pegasusmon digivolved from Patamon during a battle where TK and Patamon were unable to generate the holy energy required to digivolve to Angemon. It was all in all a very cool scene and a true shocker, but here's the concern of 02 fans. Patamon just kind of evolved into Pegasusmon without any armored Digi-Egg or Digimental as it's known in the Japanese version of the show. So while myself and plenty of others are all for the show exploring multiple evolution lines, it's super concerning because if Patamon can turn into Pegasusmon without a Digimental, then there's really no need for them to exist in this new show's universe. And if they don't exist and aren't required to achieve Digivolutions like Pegasusmon, well, that's a problem for 02, seeing as the entire conceit of 02, at least for the first act, is Digimentals and armor Digivolution. There's also nobody left for Patamon to digivolve into in a hypothetical 02 remake if Angemon and Pegasusmon were both already used in Adventure 2020 when TK was a younger kid. So then, would they do 02 but without TK in the main team? It's possible, but it doesn't sound likely or even like a good idea since it would probably also mean removing Kari. It's worth pointing out here, this is all totally speculative and hypothetical, but again, that Pegasusmon appearance just flipped everything upside down. It's kind of like if they were planning to do the 02 story after they finished this series, they would have saved Pegasusmon for later, you know? So that's where we're at. If you're just jumping in, hopefully that makes sense. If you're just clicking in for the news or the facts about episode 32, that's kind of where we are. But if you want to stick around, I'd like to share some theories for how a 02 reboot Digimon 2022 could still happen. In my coverage of episode 32, I asked Digimon fans to tell me how they think this impacts the possibility of a 02 reboot, if they think it's less likely or more likely now. Those who believe it's not meant to be are basically arguing variations of the explanation I just gave you, but I'd like to read some of the ideas people have as for why Pegasusmon showing up now and without armor evolution doesn't mean a reboot starring Davis, Yoli, Ken, etc. can't happen. First off, and quite simply, people have been quick to point out that armor evolution Digimon have appeared in other series without the use of Digimentals, such as Digimon appearing in an episode of Digimon Data Squad. We'd also be remiss not to acknowledge the fact that so far in the current series, the crests are not a physical thing in Digimon Adventure 2020, and the Digimon partners are still able to reach Ultimate. So by that rationale, you could argue that the physical Digimentals are not going to be mandatory for Digimon like Flamedramon and Digmon to show up, since the crests aren't mandatory for Digimon like Metal Greymon and Weregarurumon to show up. Now, there is one other idea I wanted to bring to your attention, and hear me out because it is a bit of a stretch, but it's just an exciting idea I wanted to talk about. It might be a cool way to tie a new set of kids into this show's current arc with the ancient Holy Digimon. In episode 32, we got another look at the Holy Digimon that aided Seraphimon, Ophanimon, and the Mega Digimon in the Ancient War. There were 7 Holy Digimon in total, with 2 being the new partners of TK and Kari, so that makes 5 Holy Digimon who are MIA. Well, 4 since Lopmon's kind of here. So what if a season 2 of Digimon 2020, a reboot of 02, again, whatever you want to call it, is about finding partners for those 5 other Holy Digimon? Maybe Millenniummon gets defeated in Adventure 2020, but an even bigger threat appears that requires not just the Megas associated with this current cast of characters, but also requires the 5 remaining Holy Digimon. And maybe similar to TK and Patamon, these 5 Holy Digimon start as rookies and need to be raised back up to Megas with the help of human chosen children. One of the Holy Digimon, Rasealmon, is a mega form of Meikumon, who is of course partnered with Mako in Digimon Adventure Tri. Then, there's Cherubimon, who we know to be Lopmon, who in the Adventure 02 movie is Willis's partner, or one of Willis's partners. So maybe Willis and Mako could be part of this new squad of a 02 cast, and then there's 3 remaining Holy Digimon who are partnered with Davis, Yoli, and Cody. Whether or not armor evolution is a factor, it could just be like this current show where alternate multiple evolution paths are just a thing that can happen. Of course, one key problem with this pitch for a new rebooted 02 is that there's no place for Ken in this theory, but that could always be included. He doesn't need to have a Holy Digimon partner to be part of the show. The other factor, kind of a sad reality though, again, this is going back to why a 02 reboot maybe can't happen, is that for as fun as this theorizing is, there simply isn't quite the same nostalgia for the 02 cast, or for Willis, or for Mako as there is for the original show and the original cast. And that might be reason enough for them not to reboot it the way they did the original cast of Digimon Adventure 1999. Personally, I have a huge nostalgia for 02. Some of my favorite Digimon of all time come from this series, and I was always a massive fan of the jumping between the human and digital world rather than kids being trapped in the digital world, and I would love to see the 02 premise done in this day and age. Willis and Mako could even be remote members of the Digidestined. I think that would be super fitting for this modern era to have it so that not every hero in the show happens to go to the same school or live in the same neighborhood in Tokyo. But for the purposes of not spinning too far out into wild theory territory, let's call it quits here. But as usual, let me know in the comments what you think about all this. Is a Digimon Adventure 02 reboot not going to happen? Is the 5 Holy Digimon theory mind-blowing to you, or you just don't see it happening? Maybe I didn't explain it very well. Do you even want a reboot with these characters? Let me know and subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and hopefully you enjoyed this more conversational, less produced video, and I will catch you on Sunday with my episode 33 review. Alright, peace.